Alright, what up, Enos? Just got a good look at your video and was watching over some stuff. And for one, you're looking pretty yoked, man. Good work in the weight room. So just gonna go over some stuff. I'll compare you to Steven Strasberg here in a second too. But overall, you looked pretty good, man. I really like some of the improvements I can see is your shoulder kind of path, that thing we were working on with the med ball slams. Ignore that line for a second. We'll get there later. That's looking really, really good right now. Um, Yeah, but just overall, I mean, it looks smoother. So I like the way those shoulders are rotating through right now. You're doing a really good job on that slam work. I feel like your arm path's gotten smoother. We were working on where your arm was loading up, and that looks pretty good right now. It looks more relaxed and more controlled, which is nice. And then one thing I really liked is you're finishing really well over that front leg right now. Um, yeah, so those definitely some positive things. Now I kind of want to look at a couple areas where I think we can still improve a little bit more. I think the biggest one that I think will add to a lot of things is this right here. So that line that I painted right here, that's just basically where you're going to start at leg lift. And then I want you to notice when you come up into leg lift, you're still at the top of that leg lift, right up in here. You're still almost exactly on that line. So now if we come over here and look at Strasberg's video, you're going to notice at the top of his leg lift, he has moved down the mount a little ways. So he's already started to move right there. So he got his back hip started right about where right now his left calf is. And it's pretty small, but he's getting just a little bit of movement down the mound before even he gets to the top of the leg lift. For you stayed stagnant, and when you got to the top of your leg lift. So one thing I think that's going to help improve, I have a couple other things, but I think this is going to be the main thing that might tie into those, is I want you to get just, and again, it's a small movement. Like Strasberg, it's not a ton right here, right? He gets to that leg lift, and he's just starting to move down that mound by the time he gets to the top. He's got just a little bit of momentum. But that little bit of momentum actually adds up a lot towards the end of your motion. Where again here, when you get to your top, you've maybe got a little separation by then, but it's really, really, really small. So just be willing that as you go up into that leg lift to start moving your hips and body forward just a little bit to kind of almost just start the fall down the mound. And again, this isn't like a major, major thing. It's just a little bit to get that momentum moving before you get to the point where you're really starting the separation of your hands and stuff like that. You want to make sure you're moving forward. So that was one of the biggest things I think will help you a lot. And it should help you gain a little more velocity and stay with some consistency, making sure that you're always going straight down that mound, which I think that'll help you out a lot. So that was one of the big ones I saw. Also, the next one, which I think the other thing might fix it, but is I think you could ride out staying closed with that hip and shoulder a little bit longer. So you get to right about there. So let's look back at Strasberg here. Let's get him into that same spot. So right about there, he's in a very similar spot. Foot's almost at strike. And his hips are completely closed off here, where you've just started to open yours up just a hair right there. And if we go another little bit on your video, you're right there. And here even you guys are getting about the same spot. And you are almost completely opened up, and he's just starting his rotation here. And so I think when you work on, that thing we were just talking about, this line, getting your momentum moving earlier, I think that'll also help this. But also just being conscious of trying your best to keep that hip closed pretty much until your foot strikes the ground, until your left foot, your plant foot, strikes that ground. Just because I think that'll help get you a little bit more what we call arm lag. So that means this arm is getting like rocked back further. into kind of the almost where like this part of your arm is horizontal with the ground. So I think that would be the other thing I would kind of pick on would be like I think you can stay closed with those things just a little bit further. I think you can kind of basically ride that staying closed motion. Like Strasburg does a super good job at just staying closed and riding down that mound in that same closed off position without wanting to open up until the last point he has to, right there. Whereas you want to just open up a little bit earlier, and you just want to try to, right here, you want to yeah, you already want to start trying to open up. And so I think you can go a little bit further with that thing. But those are the things I think you can work on. I think first work on what we're talking about here with this line. And then just looking at the rest of your videos as well. I just picked this one because I kind of like the side view a little bit more. Watched a couple of the sliders that you threw, and it looked pretty good. But don't. The one thing I saw is you're starting your arm action earlier on those curveballs and sliders, which you just may need to do for a little while at least to gain that control of that slider. But right here you're like, and your fastball, you're starting to get your arm action here. I would say you start pulling it up right there. When on your curveball you were pulling that arm, the throwing arm up earlier. I think just to try to get that arm out in front. So just it's not a terrible thing to do, but I think just as you keep practicing and keep throwing, try to make that just a little bit more repeatable. Try to have the same arm lag, the throwing arm lag that you do with your fastballs. Yeah, because I think at the curveball you just like to kind of pull that thing up just a hair earlier. And then otherwise than that, just keep working with being that arm smooth. I think your arm path looks way better. It's still, yeah, I don't know, it looks a lot better, your arm, and it doesn't look as stiffened out as it used to, but just continue to work and just trying to be smooth with the arm and the upper body. But overall, so it looked pretty good. The sliders were breaking nice. But yeah, just there's a couple things to work on, so yeah, get after it, but it's looking good. Keep working, Enos.